Hey everybody, welcome to another R show. As you know, I moved it from Sunday nights to Wednesday nights. Tonight, this is my guest, Jason T. Smith, as he likes to say, head lifeguard.
That is me. You can call me Mitch.
Well, Jason, for the people that don't know you, can you let a couple people know about yourself and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was born in 1970. In my first 3 weeks, nah, just kidding. I've been thrifting my whole life and been on eBay and selling online since 98, 99. And a couple years ago, got my own TV show on Spike that lasted 2 seasons called Thrift Hunters. And I've been speaking around the country for the past couple of years now and teaching people how to do it. And I enjoy shopping. I enjoy thrifting. I enjoy helping. I love seeing people's successes. So I wake up every morning with a smile because I enjoy what I do.
Plus, you love your rum.
I do love my rum, and I'm drinking Sailor Jerry tonight.
Well, what got you into actually thrifting and reselling?
Well, the thrifting part, I didn't have a choice. Mom and Grandma drug me to flea markets when I was 6, and usually old antiques to a 6-year-old, not exciting. And I wasn't all that enamored with the stuff, but I was with the people who were selling it. So I used to talk to the vendors, and I would just kind of interview them when I was 6 years old. I was always one to go up and start talking to adults. But I started selling online because I lost a job that I loved in March of 2000. I'd been online. I'd sold maybe a couple things. I'd bought more than I sold. So I lost this job. I was collecting unemployment, and I happened to cross a CD store that had a table full of dollar CDs. And I was looking at those going, I can get more than $1 for those. And there was a website called half.com that had just been launched. And so what the purpose of half, why it was called half, is if something retailed for say $20, you could only sell it for 10 or under. So CDs at the time were like $18.99. So I was buying dollar CDs and flipping them for like $9, and just over and over and over. And that was like, hey, this is pretty easy, this online selling stuff. And so that's been 16 years now, straight.
Wow. Well, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you is, with people that lose their jobs, I know you're into the list it and forget it philosophy.
True.
And for somebody like that might start in your situation, lost a job or has very tight money budget, how could they follow through with that?
I will say though, we call it lifey, list it and forget it. I have softened a smidge on that. I'm seeing some things that I've had lifey'd, and I'm like, I've got to do something. I've got to rejigger the title. I've got to do some fresh pictures. I got to pull it. Some stuff just isn't going to sell. People have this idea that everything's going to sell. Well, everything will sell for a price, but some things just aren't worth your time. Like I sold a t-shirt for $7. It ended up going, it was to a friend, so I cut him a sweet deal. And he paid with an e-check, and there was some glitch between PayPal and eBay. PayPal showed it cleared, eBay didn't. And so I spent half hour on the phone with the two companies today over a $7 transaction. So I'm like, if that was a regular $7 transaction, I would have been losing my mind, but I was shipping out a shirt to a friend. Sometimes it isn't worth it. So I say maybe lifey for a while, so not forever. But, the way to start, and that was your actual question, is take some money. And I've said this a million times. I'll probably say it a million more. If you're new to this, go and buy some clothing in your size. So I'm a big dude. I wear like a 3XL or a 2XLT. Start in your size clothing, because if you don't buy anything good, you just have some extra clothes in your wardrobe. So there's really no harm, no foul. But if you do a little research before you go, pick a section. So if you know denim well, or you wear jeans, go to the jeans section, go to your size, find the best brands for the best deals in your size, buy those, and try and sell them. And I guarantee you, my buddy Chris Green always says this, the first is the worst. So don't base your online selling career on your first listing. It's not going to go well. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose money on shipping. It's all going to happen. We've all been there. Now, some of us have been there a long time ago, And so some of us are just experiencing it now. So sometimes when people ask me things about starting out, I don't have any clue anymore, because when we started out back in the Wild West days, there was no pictures, there was no hoops you had to jump through. We had no limits. It was just sign up and go.
And everything did so.
Yeah. And so when people ask me, how do you sign up? I can't really answer that question. I haven't signed up in 18 years, 17 years, so that's one of those things I can't help with. But clothing, the other positive thing about selling clothing is there's nothing to break. You don't need bubble wrap. You don't need peanuts. You don't need a box. All you need is a poly mailer that looks like that. And then you just put the t-shirt or the jeans in it, depending on the size, and off it goes. So you don't have to really worry about it.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a member of your group, and a while back I asked about doing shipping shirts, and you actually suggested doing 3 options.
Yep.
So that way you don't not start doing priority, and not start doing first class, what's up to the buyer.
Yeah. Plus, if you're a top rated seller, the discount on Priority Express overnight, it's crazy. So flat rate envelope, and don't write this down as a gospel. I haven't done one in a while, but I think flat rate envelope express overnight's only like $14 when you're a top rated seller plus. And that's crazy awesome. I mean, that's just an overnight. And, almost every shirt, unless you got up to like 6, 7X, almost every shirt would fit in a flat rate envelope. So, I use this a lot for single pieces of clothes if there's going priority. And then, of course, I have the express mail. So, yeah, you give them the option. Like, clothes is not all that. Most clothes don't weigh that much. So, like, T-shirts are always like in the, 7 to 10 ounces usually. So, you give them free first class. You give them a priority option for, like, say, $6. And you do express overnight for, like, $19.99. You make a couple bucks on shipping.
Huh. I see our first question from Coco Chanel. He says, Jason, I know you had a TV show, but what kind of work have you done other than selling online?
So I haven't really shared this much, not for any particular reason, but my first career when I got married to my wife, and I had it for 5 years, was, and be prepared for this because you're going to be shocked looking at this face. I sized cheerleaders for their uniforms. So my basically sole job was to look how big a girl's boobs were, look how much of a curve her butt had, and then go, here, try this on. So I did that for 5 years, and we lived in Ohio. My territory was Western Ohio, and it was a good job, great sales job. And the great thing about when you work with school systems, when they're off, you're off for the most part because there's no school. So I always had 2 weeks off during winter. Summer is busy, but once you get into football season and then basketball season, spring's kind of dead because those are the 2 main cheerleading seasons. The problem was I didn't live in my territory, so it was an hour drive to get into my territory, and then a school could be 4 hours from there. So, and this is back in the late 90s, so we didn't have satellite radio, we didn't have smartphones, and so it would be just driving across Western Ohio trying to find the radio stations that actually came in, and so all that driving kind of wore me out. And one winter, because I didn't work during the holidays, my local CD store was looking for extra winter help, and I've been a music geek all my life. Actually, if you see that shelf behind me here, that's all CDs I'm waiting to listen to. And so I got a job working at the CD store for the holidays. I kind of liked it. I talked to the owner. He owned a whole chain. I'm like, look, I would like to get out of sales, but I'm an older married guy. And when I say older, I was like 30 and the rest of the kids are like 18. I'd like to come to work for you full time, but I can't come just as a clerk. And I got to come into management because, I got to pay my bills, and they love me. And so they brought me in, and I ended up working all 3 states. Because they decided to switch from pen and paper to computers while I was working for them. So I traveled to all 3 states and got them turned over. And then I worked at a bunch of different CD chains. So I ended up, my last CD job was the night manager at Tower Records in Hollywood. And this was back in the day with, you didn't have downloads, you couldn't steal music online, and there wasn't a lot of online purchasing. So if a celebrity wanted music, they had to come see me at Tower Records.
Okay, you're more known for your Hawaiian shirts and tiki. So what other niches do you have that not many people would know?
Well, I would say all Spice Girl stuff. I'm a huge Spice Girls nerd, and so I keep most of it, but they still have a draw, and the right Spice Girl stuff can still bring you decent money. I'm a big candle nerd, so I have a whole closet in my hallway full of candles, and it is organized by season. And so between the Spice Girls and my candle closet, all my friends call me Big Girl. And but candles, you'd be surprised if you don't know that there's money to be made in candles. When we're done tonight, go to eBay, look up Yankee Candle, go to Sold, and sort by highest, and you'll see some ridiculous prices for candles. Because what happens is, with like a lot of things in life, scents get retired, or they didn't sell well, so they get retired quick. And boy, but there's still like 10, 12 people who loved that scent. And the only way to find it is like on eBay. And once something is that rare, the price goes up and up and up and up. So every once in a while, I'll look in the back of my candle closet. I'm like, oh, I haven't burned that one. Now it's worth like 4 times as much. I think I'll sell that.
We have a question here from Joe Panico. He says, how does an eBay seller have top rated when they have 96 I think it's supposed to be bad feedbacks in the 1 month? Yes, they have 189,938 total feedback.
Because that percentage is so low, you're looking at the number like if you had 96 bad feedbacks. That is a major company selling a lot of stuff. So, I mean, that is that is nothing. That is absolutely, it's not even 0.5%. It's 0.0005. So if you sold 200 things, you had 96 negatives. That would seem like a big number. If you sell 200,000 and you get less than 100, that's not much. That is not much. So you got to look at the percentage. So you can still be top rated seller. It's not even 1%. It's not even 1% of their sales are getting negatives.
Yeah. Now, in your the Hawaiian shirts, what would you say is the most sought after shirts that buyers would literally fight over if it was an auction type of thing?
Well, and I've never found one in all the thousands of shirts I have bought, sold, own. If you find Alfred Shaheen original Hawaiian shirts, he was like the Mac Daddy. He's the guy that came up with all the prints. I think back in the 40s he started, maybe even the late 30s. So if you find Sheheens from like the 50s, they'll sell in the thousands of dollars. Now, the Alfred Shaheen company went on and on and on, and in the 60s they were doing a lot of they weren't doing a lot of Hawaiian stuff. They're doing a lot of more hippie, see-through, dresses. I'm actually vending at a tiki event this weekend in Southern California, and I got 2 Alfred Shaheen dresses. They're not the highly sought-after Hawaiian ones from the 50s, but they are the 60s butterflies and see-through. So, I mean, they'll still get some money, but and it doesn't have to be Shaheen. If you find any Hawaiian shirts from the 40s, 50s, they'll command thousands of dollars. There's a store in Honolulu that all they carry pretty much is that. So every shirt is like $1,000 to $7,000.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. The Washburn, if you can spell the name.
Oh, Shaheen, Shaheen, Shaheen. And I'm sure Alfred's pretty easy.
Okay, and the Albatross asks, I didn't know you did this, but yes, how are you doing on merchandise by Amazon?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I have 3 shirts up right now, and I will tell you exactly where I'm at. And all 3 of my shirts are holiday related. So obviously I'm gonna have to get some more going, because pretty soon that that will be over with, and I'll need some things that are not holiday related. But I started right at the holidays here, so I thought holiday stuff would be good. All right, so I have sold so far, and I've been doing it for just a couple weeks now. I am at 62 shirts.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm like, my royalties right now are almost about $700. So I'm very happy with my first out of the gate. Here we go. Let's give it a whirl. I'm like, oh, that's a cool new avenue to make money. And my partner on my YouTube show is a graphic design artist. So it's easy for me to come up with an idea and go, hey, can you do this for me? And usually if she has the time, she's got 3 kids, but when she has the time, she can pop out what I need in like an hour tops. And when she does that, I cut her in on my sales. But it's so nice to have somebody that can do that. I don't have that skill. Of course, you could learn it. Anybody could learn it. I just don't have that time. But to have a partner who has that skill, it makes life easy. And so all day long, I'm just thinking of ideas, and I can just pop them to her, just give her parameters. She sends them back. I go tweak this, tweak that, and then we're ready to go.
Okay. And Lena R. Says, Jason, can you elaborate on Hilo Haiti Moo
Hilo Hattie's moo-moos. Why did the price tank? Well, I didn't realize the price did tank. But, if we're talking this time of year, even though it's warm somewhere every day of the year, it is wintertime. Now, things will start hopping in about a month or two when people are getting through the holidays and then they're off to their cruises. So all the snowbirds are out of there. A lot of people spend the holidays with their families. Then they leave the snow country for warmer climates. Make sure you're spelling moo correctly. You missed 2 U's. It's M-U-U, M-U-U. So make sure you're spelling moo correctly or you won't be found in searches. And for those of you who think it was M-O-O, M-O-O, think about it. Would a woman wear a dress spelled like moo like a cow? No. But also, it depends, it depends on like with anything. It depends on the pattern. Depends on, Hilo Hattie's a great manufacturer. They've been making dresses and moo-moos and everything like that for, 70 years, whatever it is. And, so if you find just a kind of standard pattern, and it might not be as good of a seller as if you found some cool, abstract pattern or something. But if you have specific listings right now that you're like, why aren't these selling? Just send me the link on Facebook. It's real easy to find me. Facebook/TikiPug, TIKIPUG, and I'll take a look. Maybe you got something mislabeled, misspelled. Maybe your price is too high. So I'll take a look at it for you.
Well, in the response to the Hawaiian shirts, I have one that I know it's worn pretty good, so I'm trying just to move it. I had it at I think it was $14 at one time. And I moved it down to $9 and it still hasn't moved. It's a pair that I found with the cockatiels.
Now, see that to me, I would think that would move because the one thing I've always found out, no matter what's hot or what's not, Hawaiian shirts with birds have always sold well for me. There's a very much a decent segment of people who want the Hawaiian shirts with birds on them, parakeets, parrots, cockatiels, whatever. So that actually shocks me. But again, hey, send me the link. I'll take a look at it. Maybe I'll give you some tips on how to make it look better, read better, whatever it is.
Or maybe you retail arbitrage, buy it from me and sell it for yourself.
Trust me, I got plenty. I'm selling this event this weekend, and I just got my rack of clothes together, and I've got so much clothes. I'm like, oh man. Because the one thing you don't want to do when you sell clothing or when you go to a thrift store and they put too much clothing on the rack and it's hard to move through it, it's hard to shop. And I hate that. So I don't want to do that. But I'm looking at this rack going, I got not enough dresses and too many shirts, but I got to kind of figure it out. So yeah, if you want to come see me this weekend, I'll be in Garden Grove selling tiki mugs and Hawaiian shirts and Hawaiian dresses.
Okay, let's see. I saw a comment I wanted to read. A peeling sign says, "Hello, folks. 2 nights in a row with Jason. Wow, bonus."
Thank you. Very kind. Very kind.
And Louis the Seller wants to know, does Jason prefer the early days of eBay or the eBay of today?
Well, I'm going to be ambivalent and go both. The early days, there was less competition. We sold a lot more, but it was such the Wild West that you could be taken for a ride very easily. Whereas today, there's lots of checks and balances in place that keeps you from you know, I hate using the word scam, but it happens. So getting scammed, there's more competition, but I find more competition just makes me be a better seller in terms of, all right, so I've maxed out on selling Harley Davidson shirts. I got to go learn something new. And then once I max out on that, I got to go learn something new because there's always something new to learn. And I've mastered most of the sections in the thrift store. There's still a few I have not mastered. And so if I get to the point where I've maxed out everything else, I'm going to have to learn women's shoes. I'm going to have to learn kids' clothes.
Well, that kind of brings up another question I have is between your show and the Storage Wars type of shows on TV, plus these YouTube channels like mine, yours, and other shows, what are your thoughts on it hurting the business or causing more, how you say, competition?
Well, you know, I heard that quite a bit. I heard it online a lot. I got yelled at once in public. I was at I think season 1 had just finished, and I was standing in the thrift store here in Vegas, and a woman walked up to me and she goes, "I hate you. I hate your show. You ruined it for all of us." And she walked away, and I was just like, "What?" So I actually caught back up with her, and we were in the largest savers in the country. It's like Kmart size. It's huge. And I said, "Look at all this stuff." And as I was saying that, there was just fresh racks of stuff coming out like a constant stream. I go, "Look at all this stuff." And the parade of stuff coming out never ends. And I go, "This is one store. One. I could never buy every cool thing in here on my own and satisfy every customer's needs. Are you kidding me? I didn't ruin anything." Now, did I bring some competition? Did all those shows bring competition? Absolutely. Did most of the competition figure out it's actually hard work what we do? Absolutely. But again, I love competition. It makes me learn something new, makes me sell better. You know, Chris Green pushed me to do merch by Amazon. I'm so glad I did. I've now made $700 I wasn't planning on making. So I love it. I learned something new in the last month. So you keep learning, you keep evolving. But the people who get stuck doing the same thing in 2000 that they did in 2000, they're still doing in 2015 with the same terms of service and the same piss poor attitude on customer service, you're going to lose every day.
Okay. I'm just seeing if there's any questions I'm missing, but I'm not seeing any. So if eBay were to close your store right now, and you didn't know about Amazon, how would you counter and keep your money coming in and still being able to thrift?
So if eBay closed my store and I didn't have Amazon, well, it's a good question. I've never had that question before. Well, I have a booth in an antique mall, so I would probably hustle at that more, maybe even get a bigger booth. I definitely use Craigslist, not so much to sell, even though I do from time to time. I do Craigslist to purchase quite a bit. You know, I always find good lots of stuff. But like I said, I'm always up to learning something new. You know, 30 days ago, I had no interest in doing merch by Amazon. Now I'm like, oh, I can't wait to make more money. And in, 6 months, it'll be the next hot thing. I don't always follow everything. Like, I know there's money to be made on Etsy, and I have all these vintage clothes that would go well in there. I just keep running out of time in my day to get Etsy rolling. I got one thing listed on Etsy. Hasn't sold yet. But, of course, what are the odds of the one thing selling? I need to get, a couple hundred things listed. But I just got to sit down and do it. And maybe come January, I got no travel plans. Maybe I'll sit and get my Etsy store really up and running. So, I'm always up for learning new stuff, learning new avenues. And, I'm always hustling.
Have you heard or tried Bonanza?
Yeah, I know Bonanza. I have not tried it.
Okay. Well, I know that you can import from eBay and Amazon and Etsy into Bonanza, but
yeah, I see, some people say they do okay. Most say they're like, meh, just, one or two things here. And not that I would complain about having an extra sale or two here or there. It's just, it's on the docket of things to do. And, it always falls closer to the bottom.
Yeah, well, I know I have a .com going there, and I haven't sold anything in almost a year or so. But I stopped importing because with the import from eBay, if you don't do it right, you got to worry about having your items sell twice in one day. So it usually takes a day for the items to get removed from either site. And granted, if you do it fast enough, you don't have to worry, but you'd rather not have to do that extra work.
Oh yeah, you know, and I'm ballsy at this time of year, especially. I sell a lot of Christmas music. I'll take the rarest Christmas CDs I have, and just list them in both Amazon and eBay. And as soon as it sells on one, I've got to hustle and hurry up and pull it off the other one so I don't sell it twice. I haven't done that yet this year, but I will probably next week because, you know, obviously the closer you get to Christmas, you know, music will sell, and then there'll be that week where it's like, okay, we're not selling Christmas music anymore. But if you do sell Christmas music, especially on CD, here's the tip. You will sell, if you have a lot of listed stuff, you will sell Christmas music on Christmas Eve. You will sell it on Christmas Day, and you will sell it for up to 2 weeks afterwards. And then it'll be done for a while. So don't just quit on it on like the 20th. I always wonder, I'm like, somebody on Christmas must have been at a Christmas party, heard some music, and say, I got to buy this for next year. Because what's the point of buying it on Christmas? You're not going to play it in January. But there is still like a week from Christmas on that it'll sell, and then it's just, it's off for until the next season.
Okay, I'm seeing a question here from Mr. Sadie. He went ask, do you have any non-typical ways of picking other than the norm? Thrift, yard sales, flea markets, etc.
I've had friends who also sell that when they roll across a good deal and it's not in their wheelhouse, they'll give me a call and I'll do the same for them. So if you have a network of friends, that's another way to get stuff. A friend of mine who does not sell clothes, her neighbor's husband died and said, hey, she wants to sell all his clothes. And he was an older gentleman. He had a lot of Tommy Bahamas and Nat Nast. And I'm like, sure. It was a very weird discussion to be standing in his closet with his widow, and he only died like 2 weeks ago. And I had to make an offer. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, this is the first time I've bought a dead person's clothes from a relative, not like you said, an estate sale. So, I ended up buying it. I got a great deal. I made a lot of money on it. But that's one way. If you have friends that do what you do or similar, you get good deals that way. How else would you find stuff? I have not done any dumpster diving, but I know friends who are very successful behind retail stores that throw a lot of stuff away that doesn't need to be thrown away. I know that's a great avenue that I would love to do one day. I just, once again, falls to the bottom of the list, run out of time. But I see friends' daughters go behind like Ulta or Bath and Body Works. And there's just all this stuff. I mean, just retail stuff thrown away, and they pick it out and boom, $1,000 worth of product. I'm like, that seems easy. And I'm a big dude. I can reach down in a dumpster.
Hey there, Ronnie. Ronnie Hearts Picker says, hello, everybody. What's up, Chris and Jason? So,
what's up, Ronnie?
And the Washburn wants to know, how many items do you have on eBay at any given time?
So my goal has always been 2,000. I never get past 1,000 due to I sell stuff and I travel quite a bit. I have an assistant who does all my listing for me. So 1,000 seems to be the norm. And I typically have 500 to 800 on Amazon. I do merchant fulfilled. And then I have a full antique booth. So those are my three, and then like I'm vending at an event this weekend. So, it's always about the hustle, and wherever I can get in to make some money, I'm all about it.
Okay, Elena R wants to know, I don't know if you have experience in this, what can an experienced seller expect from an e-com conference? Can you give examples of topics they cover? We may want to go.
Yeah, if you've not been to a conference, it is a must-do. It'll take your business to the next level and the level beyond that, and it'll do it in two ways. At any conference I've been at, and I've been involved with many in the last 5 years, where I've been the speaker, I've been the keynote, the headliner, whatever you want to call it. You get a lot of good knowledge, and when you go to the events where because I've spoke at just eBay events, and I spoke at e-com events where it's a mixture. It's a mixture of Amazon FBA and eBay, and now we'll be talking about merch and stuff like that. So and drop shipping and all these different things. So you're in your lane doing your thing, and you go to one of these events, and all of a sudden you hear all these different ideas, and you're like, oh man, I could do that. And so you open up yourself to new ways to make money that maybe you knew about, but once you see somebody who's skilled in it talk for 45 minutes, you're like, oh, I got that. Now, the other way that, and I feel this is the better of the two things. So you learn from the speakers, but it is the interactions, the networking, the friendships you make in the hallway. Now, it's not always a hallway. Sometimes it's the foyer. Sometimes it's the bar after the event. But every event I've been to, I have witnessed, and I've partnered up with people after the fact. So we see all the presentations, that we start talking. They're like, oh, we could do this. We could build this. We could do that. And it is amazing the interactions you get afterwards or in the hallway. And that's invaluable. You start to make new friends. And, that's kind of how I started doing my Facebook groups. I took a whole bunch of people thrifting one day, and I didn't want to. They were coming to Vegas for an event. I lived here, and they said, Jay, take us thrifting. And I said, and I didn't say anything. At first, I'm thinking, boy, if I take them thrifting, they're going to buy the stuff I would have bought. Now, luckily, I got over that and went, nah, it'll be fun. And so what happened was the 6 of us were wandering about the thrift store, and at every section of the thrift store, somebody of the 6 had kind of an expertise in that section. So that person would be like, okay, when you're buying silverware, you're looking for this and this and this, but make sure you skip this, this, and this. And we got to the Hawaiian shirts. I'm like, look for this, this, and this. When you see this, don't buy it. And that's kind of the same thing. So you go to these events, you're really good at one thing, and you start talking to somebody who's good at something else, and you guys just, you have dinner together, you have a cocktail, and you're like, oh, we could do something together to make a lot of money. So the events will definitely pay for themselves many times over, and I highly recommend any event near you. It's even worth it to travel to an event, because we also, especially if I'm involved, there's always going to be fun after the event's over too. Trust me on that.
Okay. Now, switch gears a little bit again. As I said, we're going to be talking about various things. How were you chosen for your Thrift Hunters show?
They actually just a production company just called us, which sounds like, no, that never happens. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought it, a friend was pulling our leg. I was home. My uncle had passed away, so I was home for his funeral, and I was home for about a week. And halfway through the week, Brian, who I did the show with, called me and said, hey, a production company wants to make a TV show about us. And I said, bullshit, you never get that call. And I said, sure, we'll tell them I'll be back in a week, and then we'll talk. Well, obviously it was real, because obviously I was on TV. So they were looking to make a thrifting show, because no one had done a straight up thrifting show. And at that time, they were searching Facebook and YouTube and Google, and every place they looked, I showed up and Brian showed up. So they just called us. They just found a way to get in touch with us, and they called us and said, want to be on TV? And I said, sure, what the hell?
Add that to my little list and put it to the top.
But the cool thing was when we got to the negotiations. So we filmed some test footage, and we started to shop it, and we got to negotiations. The boss said, we doing this? And I said, hey, and I was 42 at the time. I said, at 42, do I want to be on TV and maybe famous? Absolutely. That sounds like fun to me. But again, at 42, do I have any interest in making fake BS reality TV? I said, not a bit. And so he said, well, it's good to hear you don't want to make fake TV, because all we make is documentary type TV. So when you see us buy stuff, we bought the stuff that was at the store. When we sold it. And, there was no BS about it. And when people would hear me say that, the stores knew you were coming. I go, well, of course he knew we were coming. It wasn't guerrilla filming, but whatever was in the store was in the store, and we bought the best stuff, and we flipped it and sold it, made good money.
If they gave you an option to do your own show or do a show with Nay, would you do it again?
Oh yeah, I'd go back on TV for sure. My show didn't end because we sucked. My show ended because the network sucked, and they decided to go a new avenue where they were courting A-list celebrities. I am barely Z-list, so they didn't air any repeat. Here's what's amazing: they never aired any repeats in season 2. The only way to watch a show after it aired would be on the Spike app, and the only way to use the app is if you had Spike. So all the fans that watched in season 1 online who don't have TVs or cable could never watch. So they shot themselves in the foot. Yet every day when I go thrifting, I get recognized, and I haven't been on the air in 1 year. It's been a year since I've been on the air, and even though I'm kind of a recognizable guy, there wasn't these repeats and marathons. So I wasn't hammered into people's brain. And yet I get recognized every day. So I can't even imagine how good we'd be doing had they aired some repeats and some marathons like they said they were going to do for us, because that's how people get to know these shows. Like you tune into any network like that, like a TLC, and you'll see the same episode of like Flip This House 1,000 times. And they didn't do that with us. And if they had, I think we'd be just chugging along working on season 4 right now. That's for sure.
Ronnie made a comment. Network sucked. Laugh out loud. Never watched any other thing on that channel.
Thanks, Ronnie.
And Turtle Trader has a question. If you want to answer it, it's up to you. What percentage do you put back into your inventory into your business ventures?
So I won't answer that, not because I won't answer it, because I am horrible when it comes to those figures. I can teach you how to do it, but do not follow my business practices. One time I was on stage in front of like 2,000 people with Griff from eBay. It was a seller panel, and he asked me a few questions like this. And when I gave my actual honest answers, he looked at me and went, "I am shocked you're successful." My bookkeeping's not the best. My bookkeeping's okay when it comes to the taxes, but I have no clue what my percentage is that I reinvest. I kind of just go with the wind. I kind of willy-nilly it. Now, I lucked out, and I'm married to a spouse that has a great job. So I can kind of willy-nilly it more than maybe some others. So I can definitely teach you what to look for, how to sell it. But yeah, do not follow my business practices. If I was by myself, I'd probably be a train wreck. But luckily, I have a wife that keeps me in check. Today, a couple things. I'm like, "Hey, where is this?" And she's like, she knows exactly where everything is in the house. I don't, and I put it there. And she's like, "Yeah, it's on the washing machine next to the dryer." So I married well. That's the key, kids. Marry well.
Well, I'm seeing we got over 60 watchers. I want to thank all 60 watchers. It's our first Wednesday night since Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a good one. And we have a question from Thrift Daddy for you. Do you buy and sell scrap gold and silver?
I haven't. I have scrapped out some gold and silver that I just had here. Back when it was cool to wear a gold necklace for a dude over your turtleneck sweater back in the early 90s. I still had some of that laying around. So I've scrapped out gold, and I know the value in it. But my wife and I don't wear gold and silver or any really fine jewels. We have a lot of fun jewelry, a lot of tiki stuff and things like that. So, some things that are not in your radar or in your normal life. No, I just kind of don't pay attention to them. My wife is not a girly girl when it comes to wearing shoes. So that's why I don't know women's shoes all that much. If she was more of a girly girl, I would know them more, but she wears running shoes, Converse All-Stars, and Doc Martens. So I know those pretty well. But Louboutins, high heels. Unfortunately, my wife's 5 foot, I'm 6'5". She don't like high heels. So unfortunately for me, I don't have that knowledge. So same with jewelry. Since we don't wear it, I don't really look at it all that much. But I just did a fundraiser with Chris Green a couple of weeks ago for Wounded Warrior, and I actually bought one of the perks, and I got knowledge of vintage jewelry, and when clasps on the necklaces change from decade to decade. So it was something I'm like, cool, I'm going to buy that because I don't know anything about that, and I want to learn something new. So I can donate to the cause, and then because of my donation, I can learn something new. So I'm always looking for a way to learn something new, and this was a good way to do it.
Any quick questions? Okay, I don't know if you know the answer to this one. But Bertavelt wants to know, how do you measure out women's undergarment?
Well, I mean, I pretty much I sell a lot of women's undergarments, but they're pretty much sized. So I don't do any measurements. If I'm selling a bra and it's like I sold a 40I, so let that sink in for all of you people who know how bra sizes work. I sold a 40I, as in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, I. Oops, H, I. But I don't measure. I mean, they're size. So if you're buying a bra and you know the brand and you know the size, there's no need to measure that, I don't think. I sell, teddies and negligees and stuff, and I just go with the brand and the size. I figure in that kind of case, women know their brand that they like and the size that they like. And typically, I think, and maybe I could be wrong, I don't think bras shrink all that much. I don't think negligees shrink all that much. So, and I've never had any returns ever. So I think I'm doing okay.
I guess one of our viewers just made a sale. Birthday. He says, "Cha-ching! eBay's on fire tonight."
Nice, Thrift Daddy.
Well, for the viewers that may not have watched your new show with Nay, want to tell them about your J and Nay show and what nights, if there's a set night or anything like that?
Yeah, so I do a YouTube show mainly on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. It's called Thrifty Business with J and A, and I do it with my friend Nadine. And we kind of structured it like a late night talk show. So the first half hour is all segments. We do scores of the week, duds of the week, what rum am I drinking, thrifty tips, shipping tips, close encounters of the thrifty kind, where we have weird encounters of the thrift store. We do a viewer's question every week. And then the last half hour, we have a guest who's a big time seller, or we've had 2 postal employees. And it's mainly on Thursdays. My partner Nadine does, she has cancer right now. She's dealing with that. And so sometimes we have to switch our days. But she's also been an advocate for women to getting checked. And so we also do a cancer segment every week. And we've done 24 shows so far. And she actually has a big surgery this week. And if all goes well and she's feeling okay, in 2 weeks, we're going to have we're basically going to do a show that isn't really a show. We're going to do a Christmas party in 2 weeks. So we're shooting for the 17th. We're going to have a lot of our guests on that have been on this past season. And we're all going to wear Santa hats, drink some eggnog, and talk about, selling the holidays and just kind of shoot the breeze. But it's a fun show. We get a lot of good viewers and a lot of good love for the show.
Well, I caught a couple episodes. I caught the one when you had Margaret on for Etsy.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago, we had my buddy Toomey on. He used to be a rock and roller. He was in a couple bands, and one I used to follow, and now he is a rural postal carrier. So we talked a little bit about rock and roll, but we talked about, because we all need to be friendly and enjoy and be on good terms with our postal carriers. We talked a lot about, what to do to make your postal carrier's life easier. And that's the kind of guests I'm looking for. I'm looking for guests that will, expand every part of your business. So not just the selling part, no one ever talks about the postal part. So, if you're leaving a mess of boxes out there for your postal carrier to pick up, he might not be happy, but if you leave them all neat and tidy and you do this and you do that, you're going to have a better day for you, for your customers, because your stuff's going to get, of course your stuff's always going to get picked up, but the better you treat your postal carrier, the quicker your stuff moves along. I feel.
Okay, I see a question here from Pat Henley. They want to know, whoever turned you on to selling huge sizes and bras?
I can't remember, because it was many, many years ago. We were at an event, an eBay event, and I think a bunch of us went out thrifting. And I remember it was a female friend, and she said, "Hey, you should buy big bras." And at that point, I never bought women's undergarments. And I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, big bras are hard to find. They're not common." And I understood that right away, because I'm a big dude. My shirt size is not common, 2XLT. You can't walk in just to any store. I can't walk in to the Gap and buy a 2XLT shirt. So I get it. So I'm like, oh, okay. And so one day, it was here in Vegas. I combed this whole thrift store. There wasn't a ton of good stuff. My cart was kind of empty. And I'm like, what the hell? I'll go look at bras. So I went and looked at bras, and I went right to the big section, and I bought a couple big bras. Maybe at that time, to me, a big bra was like double D, triple D. And then I discovered there's F's and G's and H's and J's and I's. And so I realized the bigger I could find, the more uncommon it was. And so they're easier to flip because there's not a ton of customers who are 34J, but when they need a bra, they don't have a lot of options. And same thing goes with big clothes. On the show, I bought overalls, men's overalls that were a 70 waist and a 38 inseam. That's a dude that could squish me like a grape, and I'm a big dude.
We have a question from Nestor Diaz. He wants to know, I hear people say that they send FBA shipments like multiple times a month. Any tips on getting to that level?
Well, I haven't done FBA in 3 years, so I am the wrong guest to ask that.
Okay.
I have done FBA before. I will do it again, but I am not the guy that does FBA where I'm feeding the monster every day. So I don't have any good answers for you on that question. I'm sorry.
And Nestor, as you already know, I don't do FBA, so I can't answer that question. I don't know if we answered it in one of my other shows with the Gilmans. So, all right, let's see. Elena says she loved it when you had Lynn Drell. I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong. And she was one of the first YouTube videos she watched a few years back. Got me thinking about doing this full time.
Yeah. When I was selling online, I didn't know anybody else at the time. It's not like nowadays where we can all kind of converse online very easily. So when I started selling online, I didn't know anybody else that did it. And I went to I used to have a thing called eBay University, and I met Griff from eBay. He was teaching the classes, and he was kind of my first kind of guru. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I can do this better. And then the second person that I had that affected me was Lynn. I saw her at eBay Live in Chicago. Didn't know her. I went to eBay Live by myself. I didn't have any friends I still didn't have any friends who sold. She spoke, and a lot of things she said were kind of like how my life was growing up. And so we met afterwards. We talked for a little bit. Didn't become friends right that moment or anything, but nowadays we're friends. We were just hanging out with her where she lives in Palm Springs, and I've had her on the show twice actually, and we become really close friends. So that's the joy. That is the joy of selling online. Especially nowadays with Facebook, it's so easy to converse all over the world that I have between Tiki friends and online selling friends and real friends. Anywhere I go, I got friends to hang out with. And so I love that. Like wherever I go, I'm like, hey, I'm in town. And then a variety of people show up and we go hang out or go thrifting or, go to a tiki bar or something. I enjoy very much social media because of that aspect.
Well, you may have already answered this question with your eye, but Mothership Products wants to know, what is the biggest bra you have come across?
I've done like a 46H. So that's probably the biggest. And if you don't know what an H boob looks like, that's about an H boob right there.
Okay. And Swam Picker wants to know, do you wash them before selling them?
No, I don't wash. And look, I know the rules. You don't have to go find the eBay rule. I don't buy dirty clothes. If we buy something that smells or is dirty that I didn't notice, we will definitely wash it. But for the most part, I don't buy dirty clothes. And anybody who buys anything used, whether it's at a garage sale, a thrift store, or online, the first thing they're going to do is launder it, or they should do is launder it. So I just feel everyone's going to launder their clothes. No point in me laundering it. Just a waste of time and money and energy.
Yeah, I see. Another question I have is to kind of go into a different topic. Is what are your thoughts on the people that are in the groups that rant and vent about the glitches on eBay?
It was funny. I was just I'm in a bunch of groups and I read them, and only my group's called the Thrifting Board, and it's the only group that I know of that I'm in that doesn't allow the bitching and pissing and moaning. Now, if you got a problem, absolutely bring the problem to the group, factual, keep the emotion out of it, and we will figure out a way to get you over the hump, fix your problem, whatever. But the people who spend all day just pissing and moaning, posting in 20 groups a day, complaining, I hate eBay this, I hate Amazon that. What a waste of time and energy. It really is. And I don't allow the negativity. Yes, no matter what you do in life, whether you're a Walmart greeter or the CEO of Apple, there's going to be some point in your day when something does not go right. It's how you deal with it and how you move past it. Complaining and whining and crying does not move past it. Facts and open discussion gets you past it. That's for sure. The people who ran, and look, lately with eBay split from the 1-2 punches, eBay split from PayPal, and they're switching over to the new seller hub. There's a lot of programming going on behind the scenes, and that programming has led to lots of glitches. And every day you either can't print a label for a few minutes or you can't see your money. I get it. It sucks. It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass for me. It's a pain in the ass for you. But you don't have to post it every day. We know there's glitches. There's going to be glitches for a while. So everything's very much calm. The seller hub's up and running. The split is final. You know, we get it. In that time that you complained about it, you could have taken pictures of 10 more items or started typing the listings for 10 more items. Use your time and energy to forward yourself, not just wander the internet complaining and asking if everybody else has it. Because, yeah, we all have it from time to time. Trust me, we all get the glitches. Doesn't matter if you're a big seller or small seller. The glitch happens to you from time to time.
We have a question from Joey Rencher. Wants to know, how much profit do you need to see in an item to justify the time it takes to list it?
That's a good question. So before I sold everything, I only bought and sold music, mainly CDs, records. I did some DVDs, Blu-rays, 8-tracks, Laserdiscs, media for the most part, but it was mainly CDs and records. And one day, man, I had this epiphany. I would buy whole collections, and then I would list them individually, because you can get a good deal when you buy like 500 CDs, and you list them individually, you make a lot of money. And then one day I'm shipping a $3 CD, and I'm like, you know what? It takes just as much time to list and sell a $20 CD as it does to a $3 CD. But man, there's like maybe like 80-cent profit in a $3 CD. Like what a waste of my time and energy. And so I stopped doing $3 items. And so when I was doing CDs, it has to be 10 and up, and I prefer really 20 and up.
Okay. And what about in the Hawaiian shirt area?
The same. Like I'll run sales if stuff hasn't sold, but I prefer my average to be a $20 item and up. And I think when I look at my figures, that's the one figure I kind of know. At the end of every month, I realize I'm hitting like $25 per item. Now, of course, I have $100 items, and then some things go on sale, and I have $15 items, but it all averages out to the $22 to $25 range. So, I look at it as if I sell 4 to 5 items, I'm making $100 a time. I'm a happy camper. And I could go higher, and I think I might. I think I'm going to progress up. I'm going to start clearing out some stuff in my house. Some things aren't selling as hot as they used to. So, like I always say, just keep on evolving. I'm going to ramp up to other items that sell for more and stop selling some items that sell for less. So I'm going to clear them out. I'll keep having sales so they're all gone, and I'll have a garage sale, and I'll probably donate some stuff.
Since he listened to you about Christmas.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you didn't hear that?
No, you just went away.
Christmas CDs, and she bought 20 really cheap, and then she's already sold 3.
And that's awesome to hear. And look, with anything, you're going to have to learn. So look, I've been telling people to sell Christmas CDs forever. And even in 2015, you can download any music. You can steal any music online. You would think, who's buying CDs? Well, this past month, I've sold a $50 CD, about 35, 40 CDs in the $30 to $40 range. And not all Christmas, but a lot of it's Christmas. And I know it's out of print, and And like with anything, look, there's a billion penny books, but there are some books worth a lot of money. There's a billion penny CDs, but there are some CDs worth tons of money. I've sold a couple $500 CDs. I've sold a good handful of $400 CDs. I've sold tons of $300 CDs, and I can't even count the number of $100 CDs I've sold. They're collectible CDs. People want them. They want to touch them. They want to hold them. They want to put them in their collection. But get into Christmas CDs. Do some research. You're going to fail, but knowing you failed, you're going to learn. And I showed this on my show a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. This was a hot CD for the past, I don't know, 6-7 years. And so when I was in LA I was in LA for Halloween, they had put out the Christmas stuff. So guess how many I bought? A ton. And guess what's not hot anymore? This CD. Boo. So luckily they're always priced cheaply. These are like $3 a pop, but they were selling for like 20. Now they're not selling. So even me, I realized I made a mistake, but I learned, so I'm not going to be buying any more of these. I will get them flipped eventually.
Internet connection problem, so that's why you missed me the last time. Please tell me, identify internet access.
Identify internet access. Are we getting watched by the CIA?
I don't know. I just know it's every once in a while it's cutting out on me too. That's why I missed what I was saying. Well, with that being said, what other top-rated seller tips do you think you can pass on to possibly newbies that haven't been said before?
Well, I mean, the big things is ship worldwide. It's super duper easy. Nothing extra to do. eBay or Amazon automatically spits out the customs form, so you don't have to do anything extra. Offer a return policy. If you're on eBay, enroll in hassle-free returns. It is super duper easy. It's going to get even a little bit better in February. I don't get hardly any returns, like maybe 4 or 5 a year total. So people who worry about it now, if you're in a line of stuff that has high return rate, you might get more. But I sell used clothing. I give measurements. I'm very accurate, and I barely get any return. So, people spend too much time worrying about the what ifs. What if I get hit by a bus today? Could it happen? Absolutely. Is the likelihood of it going to happen? Nope. Am I going to waste any energy thinking about it? Nope. But I see people all day long. People spend too much time in Facebook groups asking questions and not doing enough selling. I see newbies like, they'll ask this question in this group, the same question in this group, this group, this group. The best thing to do is just get selling. You're going to learn more from your mistakes than you are from your successes. So the only way to do it is just get selling. Just throw some shit up there and sell it. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose money on shipping. You're going to break something. It's all going to happen. We've all done it. We've all done it. But that's how we can become better sellers. Just trust me on that. I've been doing it a long time. That I can tell you for sure.
Okay. So I was doing that again. Like, next question is, how many duds mistakes do you make when you're buying items? Like, I know you do a weekly show of duds, so I'm assuming you got to make your duds from not selling enough, or you're making actually buying mistakes.
Well, let's see. A month ago, I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mistakes. I would say, I don't look up much in the store. If I'm in a news section, I don't know. I'll do some research. But, my sixth sense is pretty good. So I'm pretty good at grabbing stuff. But, I'll get home and like, and something in my head that maybe used to be hot, like the CD, maybe has waned, or like 15 minutes of fame. Like I still have some Jonas Brothers t-shirts when they called it quits and nobody cared. Really quick, nobody cared. So, I was at the wrong end of the 15 minutes of fame on them as a band. But yeah, I still bring home some duds, and it's what you do with your duds. So the big thing I do is I have a garage sale of duds, and that's why we did the garage sale on the show, because I was telling my producers, I had a garage sale one year where it was all duds. It was all stuff that wouldn't sell even for pennies online. But what I did was I staged the garage sale before I advertised it, so it looked really nice and neat, and made it neat and organized. And over 2 days, I did $3,000 at a garage sale of crap. But I staged it well. I advertised it well. It sold well. And the first day, a guy came and said, I will cheaply buy everything that's left over at the end of the next day. I said, all right, cool. So we sold a ton of stuff. He came back and we had still a nice amount left. He looked around, he goes, I'll give you $250 for everything. So essentially, he gave me $250 to clean out my garage, which I was happy. Like it was the duds that wouldn't sell online and then that wouldn't sell at 2 days of garage sale, but he was going to take it to a swap meet. So he got it pennies on the dollar. I didn't want it anymore. So I was happy. Like, sure. He backed up his van. He unloaded my whole garage into his van. My garage was empty. I made $3,000 in 2 days, shut the door, went and took a nap.
Let's see if there are any more questions from the. I'm not seeing that conversation going on between the peeling signs and Elaine. Elena, yeah. Sorry, I was calling her name, but finding a group for her in Florida or something to that effect. And Total Trader wants to know: do you do free shipping or shipping and handling fees?
Anything that's lighter weight or easy to ship, so it doesn't have to be lightweight. If it's easy to ship, it's easy to jam in the box. I will work the price of shipping into the cost, so it looks like free shipping. But when you ship hard to pack things, I prefer to put a shipping price on it because people will understand it and they get it and it doesn't affect me. Or if I'm selling something so rare, because part of it is if I'm selling a One Direction t-shirt, there's probably 10,000 One Direction t-shirts. So if I offer free shipping, I'm at least going to stand above the people who charge for shipping. If I'm listing an item that I'm the only one that has it and it's a sought after item, who cares if I offer shipping or not? I mean, you can charge for shipping. The fees break down to about the same, but if you ever have to do a refund, if you ever have to file a claim with the post office, if you have free shipping, you don't get your shipping charge back, so to speak. So I prefer to add shipping to either hard to ship items or rare items. But I sell lots of CDs. They all weigh 4 ounces. So it's super easy to throw free shipping in and make you stand out above the rest who are charging $3. Even if I lose $1 or $2, they're easy to ship. The great thing about starting with an item like that is, a CD is basically, like I said, they're almost all 4 ounces. You get a number 0 mailer. It goes in the mailer, and that's it. There ain't nothing else. You're done. Shipping a CD takes you absolutely no time whatsoever. So you also got to base it on your time.
Well, the last question I have for you, and we're over an hour, so if they get enough questions, maybe we'll go for another half hour if you don't mind from the viewers. If not, we'll do another after show hangout or something like that. But my last question to you is, how many countries have you actually thrifted in?
How many countries?
Yes.
2. Yeah, thrifted in Canada and the United States. I haven't traveled other than Canada and the Caribbean and Mexico. I've not gone to Europe. I've not gone to Australia. But in the States, I think I counted not too long ago. I think I've thrifted in 38 states, maybe 40. I've hit a good part of the union, so I've thrifted pretty much everywhere.
Okay, Pat Henry wants to know if you can give us an example of a rare CD.
Well, like right now, I'll give you the hot 3 Christmas CDs. Hang on a quick second, I'll give them to you. Because right now, obviously, is the time to do CDs. Now, one area I work on a lot is soundtracks. A lot of soundtracks were never released on CD, and then there were these little companies that get the rights to release a limited run, like 1,000 to 3,000. So, I'll go to eBay every once in a while and just put in soundtrack, CD, search sold, and go to highest first. And so I see what's hot and what's selling for, because you'll start to see the same ones over and over. So on Christmas CDs, Mariah Carey did this single that came out Miss You Most at Christmas Time. It's super duper rare. I've never found that one, but it always sells in the $100 to $300 range. And most stores probably won't. I think it was just a promo. They probably wouldn't know it, and they wouldn't price it high. They would never think this promo single from Mariah Carey, you know, any artist who sold millions and millions and millions, people don't really pay attention to all that much. They would probably put that single out for like $5. That'd be my guess. Another big one is Dick Clark's Rock and Roll Christmas. It was a Time Life thing. It was 2 CDs. It sells anywhere from $100 to $150. It's been out of print forever. It's always a big seller, and it's relatively easy to find. And the last one, and this kind of goes along with what I just told you, the Christmas Vacation starring Chevy Chase. That soundtrack was one of those ones that was only released on a small label. I think they did 1,000 or 2,000. And if you ever run across that, you might find it in the Christmas section, and you might find it in the soundtrack section. It sells for $100 all the time, because they won't release it again. So there's only that 1,000 to 2,000 in the world. And so other than bootlegs, the actual release will never be released again. So it'll never change from $100 ever.
And we have a question from Alvin Smith. He wants to know, how did your unpadded glassware fare? Any breakage?
No breakage. So Chris Green and I have been shipping breakables back and forth. He lives near Boston. I live in Las Vegas. We've been throwing breakables just in a box with no padding, and it always gets there. Always. We've never had anything break. Actually, I shipped a Halloween figurine. It was ceramic. It was thick, but it was hollow. It not only didn't break, it punctured the box. The box had a hole in it.
Wow. Oh, speaking of shipping things, you're also, well, Sydney so early, I think, started, or the FOMO. You have a video of yourself doing a cup with the FOMO?
Yeah, so essentially, do I have a coffee mug here? Essentially, you can ship a coffee mug in this padded flat rate. Very easy. All you do is take 3 sections of bubble, wrap it around your coffee mug, take a piece of cardboard that's a smidge longer than the coffee mug, and roll the coffee mug in it, and make sure the cardboard is longer on both ends. And then when you cut down where every little fold is, then you wrap the cardboard over top of each other. So you've essentially built this awesomely solid, almost break-proof, like 99.9% break-proof box that fits right in here. So when you're a top-rate seller, this is $5.35 anywhere in the country, including Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Alaska, Guam. $5.35 you can send a breakable. And I'm so ballsy, I did a champagne flute, a stemmed champagne flute once. And I'm like, I want to see if this will make it. And it made it just fine. I wrapped it well, but it only cost $5.35 to ship.
And we have another question from Rick Day. Says you're scaring him. I don't know what you're scaring him for, but Elena asked, Jason, how long did you wait until you hired a helper? Did you want to make a certain amount or did you just go for it?
I realized about five or 6 years ago that the only way to take my business to the next level was to have an assistant, because, and this is nothing against any of my assistants, but you can teach any monkey to take a picture. So whatever you're selling, whether it's clothes, breakables, records, whatever, you know how you take your pictures, and that's where you start an assistant. You're like, all right, here's how you take pictures of bras. Here's how you take pictures of records, and just let them do all that work, because that's very that takes up a good part of your day, and you could be doing other things like sourcing or listing. And then once they've mastered the taking the pictures, then you teach them how to list, and then you don't have to do any of that ever again. Like, I have not done pictures or listings in forever. I've done a little bit. Here's what I do listings. I do my Tiki Mug listings, and I do a lot of my music listings, because my assistant doesn't know the Tiki Mugs, and it'd be way easier for me just to list it than to teach Tiki Mugs. But clothing's pretty easy. He can look up, he can look up any brand, any shirt. So that leaves you time to source more, to sell more, to learn a new platform to sell more. And I travel quite a bit. I speak quite a bit. So it leaves me time to go just bouncing around the country doing stuff. So like this weekend, I'm off to LA to both source for Christmas music and to sell and to hang out with some friends. I'm home for like 3 days, and then I'm flying to Cleveland because my brother's turning 40. So I can do these quick turnarounds and go someplace else in the country without any fear, because also he's here shipping for me. That's the other thing. You never have to put your store on vacation when you have an assistant.
Well, unless you're seeing any more last minute questions, I'm not seeing any. So I want to thank you, Jason, for being on. I know I asked before Thanksgiving and worked it out to where we can come on first Wednesday of December. So thanks for being on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Would you mind sticking around for an after show?
Yeah, sure. I'll hang around for a bit. Absolutely.
And is there anything else you want to get out before we end this?
No, just
for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. If you're not in my Facebook group, it's called the Thrifting Board, and come on over and we'll get you added. And we talk about more than thrifting. We talk about, how to sell on eBay and, best practices. And like I said, if you got a problem, bring the facts and we'll get it solved for you.
And just so everybody knows, as you all know, I did move this from Sunday night. This Sunday night, I'm going to try starting something new. It's not going to be more business related. At least I don't think so. It's going to be more like my thoughts on a week type of thing. So I don't know if I'll be posting it into the group. So we'll see how it goes from there. But hopefully we'll all come watch me on Sunday night. With that all being said, thanks for watching. Hit that like button. And I will send the link through the chat when I'm done.
Woo!